Prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. And with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lishana tova tikatevu, Lishana tova tikatemun, Lishana tova tikatevu, vetepatemun. Amen. Amen.
Shana Tova and Shabbat Shalom. Here we are. We've made it to the dawn of another year. And this is no small accomplishment, something we should not take for granted. There were illnesses and accidents, setbacks and natural disasters, any number of things that might have made it otherwise. And to be sure, there were moments of celebration, joy, success. There were victories, both big and small. These 10 days invite us to make room in our spirits and in our minds and in our souls for the new year of 5784. I'm thankful to be able to do this holy work with you, surrounded by my community, supported by my colleagues, uplifted by music that inspires us, old melodies and some new ones as well. And tonight is even more elevated because we're not just celebrating Rosh Hashanah, we're celebrating Shabbat. And so you'll notice special editions for the convergence of these two sacred moments. And please remember, especially those of you who are here in our sanctuary tonight, that coming together as a community is an invitation for you to participate actively in our worship. So sing along. Don't worry about the words or the melody. We got you there. Just bring your heart and it will be beautiful. And for those of you joining from home, sing along with us there as well. Wherever you're joining from, we're grateful that you're with us. We are uplifted by your voices, your faces, the comments that you make. We are grateful that you're part of this service. These are days for giving thanks, for reflecting on what matters, and for committing ourselves to the process of becoming the people we know we are meant to be. I want to invite you to open your Machzor to page 5 and to join with me responsively. We are gathered here on the eve of a new year to reaffirm our ties to one another and our place in the eternal arc of history. On this day, we dare to challenge the world as it is and imagine the world that can yet be. Help us to open our hearts to one another, to those who suffer and need our strength, to those who seek and need our guidance, and to those who crave the presence of our community. May all who enter know that our arms are open with love and acceptance, that all who are well-intentioned, compassionate of spirit, and kind of heart have a place among us. May we be blessed with peace, with good health, and most importantly, with hope. Our prayer for candlelighting can be found on page 6, and it's an honor to invite Susan and Mel Plutsky and Susan Donner and Eric Klein to join us. We invite you, joining from home, to light your candles right along with us, and I'll ask you all to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'nedeyanu v'kiyemanu v'kiyemanu Blessed is the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, for giving us love, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this joyous day.
Tikku v'chodesh shofar v'kesel leyom chagenu. Ki chok l'Yisrael hu. Mishpat l'Elohei Yaakov. Mishpat l'Elohei Yaakov.
May it be your will, God of all generations, that this year, 5784, bring us and the whole house of Israel life and peace, happiness and comfort, redemption and exaltation, and let us say, Amen. Tichle shana v'kileloteha, tachel shana uvirchoteha. May this year's troubles end and a year of blessing begin. I'll invite our shofar blowers to come forward. Dr. Richard Sheeman. And Jacob Hall. There you are, Jacob. And we're going to hear the sound of the shofar many times between now and the close of Rosh Hashanah and the close of these Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. And I want to thank Dr. Sheeman and Jacob Hall for being part of that team who makes it all possible. Tekiah. Shivarim. Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah. Please be seated. On page 9, here I stand impoverished in merit, trembling in your presence, pleading on behalf of your people Israel, even though I am unfit and unworthy for the task. Therefore, gracious and compassionate God, awesome God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, wondrous God of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, I plead for help as I seek mercy for myself and for those whom I represent. Charge others not with my sins. May they not be shamed by my deeds, and may their deeds cause me no shame. Accept my prayer as the prayer of one uniquely worthy and qualified for this task. Remove all obstacles and adversaries. Draw your veil of love over all our faults. Transform our afflictions to joy and gladness, life and peace. May we always love truth and peace, and may no obstacles confront my prayer.
לבקש רחמים עליי ועל שולחי, כי אתה שומע תפילות עמך ישראל ברחמים. ברוך
invite you to rise for our call to worship.
Responsibly on the same page. As the sun sets, night descends once more upon a broken world. The first evening of the new year is dark. The moon is but a sliver in the night sky, and the fragmented sparkling of the stars barely lights our way through the inky blackness. Turn us toward the light that illumines our way. Our sages taught that even in darkness we can find fragments of light uncovering God's presence in the world. This happens when we seek out the light glimmering within the eyes of our neighbors and loved ones, God's reflection in the soul of each human being. Turn us toward the light that illumines our souls. For some, the soul light shines brightly, spreading the brilliance of hope, strength, and renewal. For others, the light remains concealed beneath the shadows of despair, anguish, and pain. But they may draw upon the undiminished stores of divine luminescence found in those who would reach out to them. Turn us toward the light that illumines one another. Our ancestors wrote that the mitzvot are a lamp, the Torah a light. God's light enters our world when we bring light to others, brightening those souls dimmed by despair and illuminating the dark recesses of our world. It is then that our light dawns on a world renewed. Turn us toward the light that illumines our world.
Israel.
So beautiful, thank you. So Rosh Hashanah is not a time for resolutions. We don't stand before our community and God this night or tomorrow and pledge our hopes to lose weight or run a 5K. And despite what grocery stores might think with their various matzah displays, this is also not the holiday in which we are meant to rid ourselves of chametz, of the things that puff us up. But I want to suggest that Rosh Hashanah still has a freedom story to tell, and perhaps a redemptive one as well. Rabbi Yael Rydberg teaches that on the Yamim Noraim, on these holy days, we have an opportunity to recognize the blessings and remember the challenges and even acknowledge the failures of the year gone by. That we pray for the strength and courage and wisdom to enter the new year and face the future without knowing what is to come. She says, through our quest for meaning, wholeness, and holiness, we can confront what weighs us down, makes us cynical, and separates us from others. It is not a coincidence, I think, that Passover and Rosh Hashanah are almost exactly 6 months apart, 163 days if you are counting. For the rabbis, each one counts as a new year, a time of beginning and possibilities, and each in their own way celebrates the possibility of redemption. So tonight, as this new year begins, we do not make resolutions. Instead, I want to invite us to ask ourselves, what do we need to be free? What is holding us back and keeping us in those narrow places? What will we leave behind in 5783? And what will we do differently in 5784 to bring us, and more importantly, our world, a little closer to redemption? We continue with our redemption song, Mi Chamocha, page 18.
Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai nivlo le'olam Ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Baruch hu u'baruch shemo Gal Yisrael
On this Shabbat and beginning of the new year, we turn to our evening prayer. Hashkivenu is on page 19.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, l'shalom V'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim Ufrotz aleinu sukkah shlomecha Ufrotz aleinu sukkah shlomecha Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things,
לשלום, לשלום. העמיתנו, שומרנו, לחיים. פרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך.
Page 20. This is the great warmth, the great at-homeness. This is the knowledge of belonging, the loneness of merging into a strong oneness. One lost drop of water finding its way into the sea. The Torah gleams white and silver, and we stand, singing and praying, our hearts warm with peace, our spirits quiet in the quietness of Shabbat. This is the end of the week and its beginning. This is the moment of pause, the refilling of the empty vessel, the renewing of the Spirit. This is the remembering, the shared memory of 2,000 years, and the shared embarking upon 2,000 more. This is the heart, the gathering together, the pain and the joy, the tears and the gentle laughter. This is the benign wisdom in an old man's eyes and the hope in a child's fresh voice, the roots into the past and the arms stretched forward into the future.
Soul
over the course of these days of awe, the Yamim Noraim, you will be hearing from 4 individuals that we selected and asked to tell their wise stories. They are stories of a life of connection to community, stories of lives uplifted by that connection, and stories of people who built this congregation through their commitment to who we are, what we're still becoming. Our first speaker, when I reached out to him, responded with an enthusiastic yes. It may have a little bit to do with the fact that he's a screenwriter and he's got some time on his hands. But it's also because he loves this place. His family loves this place. He grew up here, and he's got a wonderful story to tell about the celebrations and the difficult moments that community helps him to recognize and realize more fully. So I'll let him tell his story, and I'd like to invite Brian Bihar to come forward, please.
And I've run this by both the Writers Guild and the Union for Reform Judaism, and both said it's kosher to continue, so thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a genuine honor for me to be able to speak to you tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I am Brian Bihar, or as I am better known on this mountaintop, Beth Bihar's less popular, less attractive, less intelligent husband. And that's okay. I will take that. My wife has served warmly and wonderfully as Weiss School's Director of Admissions for the past 15 years. So why am I speaking to you tonight? Because Stephen Weiss has been my home, surrogate and spiritual, for the past 55 years. I joined the temple with my parents in 1968, and apparently I never left. For half a century, in a city whose modus operandi is incessant change, the one constant, besides perhaps Vin Scully and the apple pan, has been this synagogue, the good old shul with the pool. Now, as anyone who lives in LA for more than a minute can attest, there's nothing that Angelinos enjoy discussing more than homes. Remodeling, refinancing, Zillowing a friend's property values the second you leave their driveway. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I'm told people do that. But tonight, I'd like to talk to you about the other meaning of home, a place that can make you feel secure, that provides you meaning and comfort and community and even the occasional Purim Carnival goldfish. Let's face it, is there anything tougher in this era of COVID isolation than finding genuine human connection? Is there anything trickier in an age of extreme tribalism than discovering acceptance, not just from a Facebook group, but from actual real-life people? And that is what is precisely what WISE has provided for me over the years. I have commemorated all of life's important moments under this very roof, both simchas and sorrows. I grew up kind of right down there in the hills of Encino, the Jewish Alps, the kosher canyon. But our life centered largely around Stephen Weiss. I went to nursery school here and Hebrew school, and wore a blue and white Zionist beanie to day camp, and threw up on the school bus after eating a bag of dry Cheerios and trying to sing David Melech at the same time. I have been here so long that we had a clergyman walk across campus strumming an acoustic guitar not named Yoshi. That long. I was even here the Yom Kippur when Vidal Sassoon said from this very pulpit, if Israel doesn't look good, we don't look good. Still arguably the best line of all time. I was bar mitzvahed here. So were my brothers. So were my parents, and so were my children. Rabbi Zeldin performed my bar mitzvah, Rabbi Hersher our wedding, Rabbi Stern my kids' b'nai mitzvot. Both of my kids, now grown, graduated from Wise School, immersed in our people's most cherished values, and blessed with lifelong friendships. My father and my grandma Jerry Holoff were both memorialized here, having spent their entire adult lives in this congregation. Because as you can see, Stephen Weiss tells the story not just of the Jewish people of yore, but of my family and of yours. I'll give you two examples quickly from my lifetime. One sad and one joyous. In 2008, out of the blue, my beloved father took his own life. In an unspeakable tragedy, there are no words to fix it, no shortcuts to processing the grief. But in the days that followed, the Wise community held my family close, enveloping us with love and kindness. They helped us find comfort in the pain and meaning amidst the obvious tragedy. My dad was memorialized just down the hall in Plotkin Chapel, on the very same bima where he had passed me the Torah 30 years earlier at my bar mitzvah. But that's really what this place is about. Medor Lador, generation to generation. I sat in this sanctuary during the high holidays with my parents year after year, and now I honor them by doing the very same thing with my own children. And now a happier story. A year ago, my adult daughter burst into our bedroom one morning to tell us that she had been accepted to her dream law school, a place you've heard of. And the first people we called, obviously, were Beth's mother and my own. But then the third person in the world that we called was Sandy Volterra, Sammy's second grade teacher at Wise. Because you see, my daughter came a little late to reading, maybe more so than most. But Mrs. Volterra never let her feel that way and made her and us understand that it would all work out, that this was a smart girl who just needed a little extra cooking. So why am I telling you all of this? Because who teaches your children matters. Where you worship, and build community and raise your family matters. And for 55 years, Stephen Weiss has mattered to me and the people who matter to me. I know that my stories aren't particularly unique. Everyone here has made their own memories, their own connection to our people's history and to each other. But that's what I want to leave you with on this Erev Rosh Hashanah. A sincere hope that your family is able to find the same sense of home on this beloved mountaintop that has long been in such abundance for mine. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Brian, for, first of all, being willing to stand up here and share your story, but most importantly for sharing the power of how this community affected you, influenced you. And note to self for clergy, don't ask a screenwriter to precede your sermon. That's a real risk, but beautiful words, Brian. Thank you. We, in our service, continue with the Amidah prayer. It's on page 12. It's in this prayer that we begin by invoking the names of our matriarchs and our patriarchs. And it's a reminder, in a way, it's a reflection on Brian's words, because what it captures is the linkage of one generation to the next. We recite these words, this prayer, with the knowledge that we would not be here were it not for those who came before us, were it not for their choices. And we recognize, too, that to be a part of this community, to bring it to our children, to bring it to the children of others, is to also prepare the next generation to receive and to pass on this tradition that we have been gifted. The prayer begins on page 24. It continues through to page 40. Get lost in its words. You can follow it in the order it's written, or you can browse the pages. This prayer book is meant to be browsed. Read the passages on the sides, read the poetry that appears, and you don't have to reach the end, it's okay, but just appreciate the moment, the quiet, the music, the gathering of our community together. Please rise. When you're finished, you may be seated.
We're on page 34.
ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם, יתברך ויתרומם, שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד.
ועל כולם, ועל כולם,
יתברך ויתרומם,
יתברך ויתרומם,
שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. וכל החיים יודו הסלע ויהללו את שמך באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו, עזרתנו סלע. ועל כולם, ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם, יתברך ויתרומם, שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני,
שמו,
הטוב שמך,
הטוב שמך,
הטוב שמך,
This part of the service shifts us from gratitude to a hope for wholeness. And so as I'm looking as the sun is going down and that beautiful view, and we know we're in this time betwixt and between, not quite the year that was and not yet the year that is about to be. And so we want to take a moment in that between time and have a little sharing. So we're going to invite you to turn to someone near you, maybe ideally someone you didn't come here with, and maybe introduce yourself, wish a Shana Tova, and just share a moment of the year of gratitude or a moment that made you feel whole. So we take our gratitude and shift it towards hope. We continue on page 38, A Prayer for Peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael. Oseh HaShalom.
Shana Tova. On pages 43 and 44 is our prayers for our country and for Israel. It's my pleasure to welcome Jeremy Rosen, the president of our congregation, and his wife Jody Kruger to read them.
So if you'll read responsibly on page 43. Our God, God of our fathers and mothers, we are grateful for our country, the United States of America. May it always be a haven for the oppressed, its neighborhoods and byways peaceful and secure. May the officers of our government be blessed with wisdom and good counsel. May they act in unison to promote the welfare of all, and may petty rivalry be banished from their deliberations. May agriculture and commerce be prosperous. May schools and places of learning flourish so that future generations gain the knowledge of freedom and learn the responsibility of citizenship. Guard our land from calamity and injury. Plant among the peoples of different nationalities and faiths who dwell here love and understanding, peace and friendship. Spread the shelter of your peace over those who serve our country here and abroad. May it be your will that our land be a force for good for all who live on earth, and that all our people know its blessings, to the vision of your prophet may be fulfilled. Let justice roll down like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. And let us all say, Amen.
Right here. Avinu Shabashamayim, Rock and Redeemer of the people of Israel. Bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your peace. Guide its leaders with your light and your truth. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, Hagen aleha, ve'evrat hasdecha, ufros alecha, sukat shelomecha, uchlach orcha ve'amitcha, Shecha zeracha ve'yotzecha, v'tatnem be'etza tova milvanecha. Avinu shebashamayim, Yisrael v'Golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Strengthen the hands of those Yisrael v'goalo. Bless our land with peace, O God, and its inhabitants with lasting joy, and let us say, Amen. Amen. Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit tzmichat geulateinu, Hagen, Hagen aleinu, Be'efrat, Be'efrat hasdecha, Ufros alecha, alecha, Sukkot, Sukkot shelomecha, Venomar, Amen. Venomar,
We invite Susan and Meyer Burke to join us on the Bima to open the Aron Kodesh, to open the Ark for the Avinu Malkeinu on page 46. We ask that you please rise.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shma Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Hatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu, V'al Ol Aleinu, V'tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have mercy upon us and upon our children.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar, Kale Dever V'cherev V'ra'av Me Aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, help us to diminish pestilence, war, and famine. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, inspire us to banish hate. Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter us in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew our faith in the future, that we may make the coming year a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Amol Aleinu, Ve'al Aleinu,
In a moment, Rabbi Zweiback will be delivering a sermon, and of course, everyone is more than welcome to stay. We want parents to know if they think their children would be a little more comfortable hearing some stories and songs during Rabbi Yoshi's sermon, they can enjoy them with Rabbi Laufer and our rabbinic interns, Hannah and Yael, in the Plotkin Chapel, which is right out the door and to the right, and then they'll be brought back just before we make Kiddush together.
Tonight we celebrate the creation of the universe. According to our tradition, our world came into being 5,784 years ago. In truth, we don't know exactly when or how it all happened. The latest models from NASA, based on measurements regarding the rate of expansion of the universe, suggest that our world is actually closer to 13.8 billion years old, give or take a billion. There are some theories that our universe was actually created from the remnants of a previous universe that collapsed upon itself after billions of years of its own existence. Of course, if this theory is correct, there's no way of knowing how many times this has happened before, which means that our universe could quite literally be trillions and trillions of years old. But the number isn't the important part of the story. Rosh Hashanah is the day our tradition asks us to focus on God's role as Ha-Boreh, the creator of the universe. Now, I'm guessing that for some of you, the idea of God as author of creation might be remote. But for a few minutes, I want to invite you to open yourself to a sense of awe and wonder at the glory, the utter glory of it all. For the wonder of it all, we should be filled with the sense of gratitude. We are here, all of us, all living beings, all that has ever lived and all that will ever come into existence, and however it came to pass, we didn't create this universe. I believe that this world, yes, our humble planet Earth, whose yearly journey around our sun we commemorate this day, but more broadly, the whole Megillah, the estimated 200 billion trillion stars that are in our universe. Our world was created, I believe, for a purpose. And if all the Creator ever did was ignite the spark, well, that would be enough. And here's how the ancients who composed our High Holy Day liturgy think about God's role in creation. In our shofar service tomorrow, we will declare Hayom Harat Olam. On this day, the world came into being. This is the time when we Jews celebrate whatever it is that created those many billions of stars, those many billions of years ago. We celebrate creation itself, existence itself. And so in awe and wonder, I look to the heavens and I consider the magnificence of this universe, and I ask, Mi chamocha, Adonai, who is like you, O Eternal, O Creator, who is like you?
O God, our God, who is like you, Adonai, from below and from above, you are strength and you are love. Oh, who is like you, God? Who is like you, God? Who is like you, God? Who is like you, God?
That our universe exists is a miracle. And more granularly, our own human existence is a miracle as well, yours and mine too. Here is part of my personal existence story. My grandmother, born Julia Yetta Levinson in 1912, in of all places, Parkersburg, West Virginia, the only daughter of Herman and Fanny, graduated Vassar College in 1934, no small feat for a woman in those days, a Jewish woman in a time of quotas. All the more so as the daughter of an immigrant father who came to this country in 1893 from Bessarabia with practically nothing. After college, she enrolled in a master's program in statistics at the University of Wisconsin. But she was uninspired in her classes and ended up taking a leave of absence, returning home now to El Dorado, Kansas. A few short months later, on a cold December afternoon, she found herself working at the counter of her father's department store when an itinerant salesman named Jacob Davis, himself an immigrant from what was then Czechoslovakia, walked into the store hoping to sell a few boxes of shoelaces. He struck up a conversation with the young woman working behind the counter and ended up asking her for a date. And just a few days after their first meeting, tragedy befell her family when her father died suddenly and unexpectedly. And over the next year and a half, my grandfather would write my grandmother 61 love letters. She finally agreed to marry him in June of 1938. So here's the miracle and the point of this whole story. My mother, Hermine's existence, yes, she was named for the grandfather she never met, and therefore my sisters and my brothers and mine, and then of course my daughters as well, was made possible through an extraordinary and improbable chain of events. Had my grandmother Julia enjoyed statistics, she probably never would have met my grandpa Jake, and I wouldn't be here. Had she taken her lunch break that fateful afternoon just a bit earlier, or lingered just a bit longer over her tuna sandwich, I wouldn't be here to tell you this story. There are literally a million variables that could have erased this one necessary step in the process of my ever being born. And so in awe and wonder, I consider the miracle of my own existence, and I ask, Mi chamocha, Adonai, O Eternal, O Creator, who is like you?
God, secret presence everywhere. Who is like God? Who is like God? Who is like God? Who is like God?
But what's even more extraordinary, of course, is that the story I told you about my grandmother and grandfather is just one small piece of a chain of events that made my life possible, going back hundreds of thousands and even millions of years. Here's how the journalist and author Bill Bryson puts it in his book, A Short History of Nearly Everything. Consider the fact that for 3.8 billion years, a period of time older than the Earth's mountains and rivers and oceans, every one of your forebears on both sides has been attractive enough to find a mate, healthy enough to reproduce, and sufficiently blessed by fate and circumstances to live long enough to do so. Not one of your pertinent ancestors was squashed, devoured, drowned, starved, stranded, stuck fast, untimely wounded, or otherwise deflected from its life's quest of delivering a tiny charge of genetic material to the right partner at the right moment in order to perpetuate the only possible sequence of hereditary combinations that could result eventually, astoundingly, and all too briefly in you. Each one of us is a miracle. And for us as a Jewish community, how much more resonant is this idea when we reflect upon the extraordinary trials and tribulations we've overcome as a people? It's truly a wonder we're here at all. This summer, Jacqueline and I experienced the great joy of having all three of our children back home for a little bit. And I consider all of the things I've ever created in my lifetime, art projects, humble as they were from my childhood, songs I've composed and recorded, any sermons that I've written, articles I've published, and nothing comes close, not even a little bit, to the miracle of participating in the creation and nurturing of a human life. I know that not everyone here is a parent or wants to be a parent, but certainly every one of us is someone's child. Each of us came into being through an extraordinary, miraculous, improbable chain of events. And God's role in all of this, the rabbis teach us in the Talmud that there are three partners in creation: a man, a woman, and God. The very existence of the universe, the building blocks of literally everything, it's all a wonder. Me and you, every possible experience and emotion, the color of a strawberry, the taste of dark chocolate or Brussels sprouts for that matter, the smell of pine needles and the rain, that it all exists is a miracle. In awe and wonder, we ask, O Eternal, who is like you?
Who is like God? Who is like God? Who is like God? Who is like God? Mi chamocha
there's one final miracle for which I want to give thanks. Our Torah teaches us that we are created in God's image, B'Tselem Elohim. And some commentators understand this to mean that we are created to be like God in one specific way. We are created to be creators. God made us to be makers, not of worlds as grand as the one God brought into being, to be sure, but creators nonetheless. Each of us has this ability in some small way. A turn of a phrase, a melody, a dance move, the stroke of a brush expresses our gratitude just so. A new way to structure a loan or market a product, argue a case, bake a challah, or teach a lesson. There is in each of us a small spark of creation. In some, it flows like a fire hose. Irving Berlin composed an estimated 1,500 songs in his lifetime, scored 19 Broadway shows, 18 Hollywood movies, and was nominated for 8 awards. Too bad for the son of an itinerant cantor born into poverty in Siberia. Chana Senesh wasn't granted length of days. She was cut down before her time, executed in 1944 at the tender age of 23, after having parachuted into what was then Yugoslavia, trying to rescue Jews during the Holocaust. But after her death, a book of her poems was discovered that includes verses that have become well-known and deeply loved throughout the Jewish world. Eli, Eli, Yesh Kochavim, and Ashrei HaGafrur, which poignantly reminds us that a match, a gafrur, that burns up so quickly can have lasting impact when it kindles other lights that burn on and on. We were created by God to be creators. We were made to be makers. And as we enter the 5th month of the writer's strike, and the 3rd month since the Actors Guild joined them, we recognize just how profoundly their work touches our lives and just how mysterious the creative process is. It's related for me to the mystery and majesty of creation itself. Every spark, every new idea, new melody, technological innovation, including, somewhat ironically, artificial intelligence, it all ultimately comes from the source of existence itself, from God. Creator of the universe, who is like you? And the answer is somewhat paradoxical because no one is like God. And at the same time, since we're all part of the universe God created, and since we, in some small part, are capable of creating our own little universes, then each of us is like God. So as we welcome this new year of 5784, let us express our immense gratitude for the vast, miraculous universe God created, for our own lives and for life itself. And let us strive with all of our might to realize our potential as beings created in God's image and likeness, or more playfully, created to be creative like God. On this Rosh Hashanah, Hayom Harat Olam, the birthday of the world, with our hearts open in gratitude for the gifts of creation, we cry out, Mi Chamocha, who is like you, God? Who is like you?
Who is like God? Who is like God? Who is like God? Who is like you, God?
Please rise and join us for our festival and Shabbat Kiddush on page 49.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'romemanu mikol ha'shon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava. Et yom hashabat hazeh ve'et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah be'ahava mikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim u'devarecha emet ve'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai melech al kol haaretz v'kadesh hashabat v'Yisrael ve'yom hazikaron. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'ehiyanu v'kiyemanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Test.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל. עלינו לשבח, לתת גדולה לעוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם. עלינו לשבח, לאדון הכל. עלינו לשבח, לתת גדולה לעוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו בהם וגורלנו בכל המונם.
Our experience of time is both linear and cyclical. As we watch our children grow and our bodies age, the years progress from one to the next, we sense an inexorable movement forward. But in our relationships with those who fill our lives, there's a sense of the cyclical. From one birthday to the next, one Rosh Hashanah to this, last Thanksgiving to the next, the vacation of one summer or another, our memories of lighting a Chanukiah over and over and over again each year. As we cycle through the memories, we become acutely aware of those who joined us each year but are not with us any longer. We remember the simple things: a smile, a kiss, a gift, a word of wisdom, a time of intimacy. And then, when the season returns, those who are absent return to us in a way, not as a physical presence, but with a cascade of memories that even in absence engender the warmth of the times that we shared. The Kaddish is a prayer that evokes the cyclical. Its words never change. They return again and again, but we do every time we come back to it. The rhythmic cadence of its first words, Yit Gadal V'Yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, reach deeply into our hearts and bring our memories to light. May we find comfort, peace, and wholeness in our ancient poem of remembrance. It is on page 52 in your books. It is our custom to ask members of our community to rise depending upon where they find themselves in the cycle of mourning. If you have lost a loved one in the last 30 days, you are in a period called Shloshim, we invite you to rise. If you are mourning the loss of a loved one in the past year, we invite you to rise. And if this Shabbat of Rosh Hashanah, is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, we ask you to rise. Also called a yahrzeit. And then finally, if it is your custom to stand beside the mourners at this time, or if you would like to stand in remembrance, we invite you to rise as well as we continue with the words of the Kaddish. Once again, page 52. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivarach ilutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, v'galau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei al-maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'ytalal shemei l'kudesha b'rechu, leila u'leila mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiram v'amar v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the memories of your dear ones be a lasting blessing. Amen. I invite you to please be seated.
Just a few words of thanks to our incredible clergy, to our wonderful, wonderful choir, to our amazing musicians, our music director, our cantor, all of our staff, the crew that works so hard. And thanks to everybody for being so supportive of the crew, because they make it possible for the hundreds of thousands, I think, Cantor, of people who are joining us online to be able to enjoy these services. So thank you to all of you who joined us from home. We're grateful that you're part of our community. And for all of you here in our sanctuary, we hope to see a lot more of you in the days to come. The program that was on your seat when you came in has all the information you'll need, not just for the next 10 days, but really for our next year of programming. It has the names of our choir members, our rabbinical interns, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to conclude with Re-Return. It's not found in your machzor, but we're going to hear the chorus again and again, and it has those words of teshuvah, of returning. We return again and again to goodness and to hope and to community and to love and to gratitude. We return.
We return. We return. We return. Return again. We return. We return. We return. Return again and again to love. Love.
return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
Return again.
Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.
Shabbat Shalom.